Good day, my name is Angelo. This is Nation's Voice Tower, your most preferred YouTube channel. Straight to the matter of the day. Alright, today is the day that was kept aside for the hearing of the appeal of the People's Democratic Party. Its candidate, its presidential candidate, that is Atiku Abubakar. The Labour Party, its presidential candidate, that is Peter Gregory Obi. And then the APM, the Allied People's Movement. Allied APM. Now, I would like to give an overview of what took place in court. All right, the Supreme Court judges were actually left out, and the announcement of their names and involvements were left late. That had no cause for worry. Okay, we allowed this update to come up by this time so that we would be able to wait for the proceedings of the Labour Party to take place, and then put everything together and give you a general overview of what took place in the Supreme Court today. First of all, I would love to say that the Supreme Court barred foreign media houses from the elections petitions proceeding. All right, they also barred other media houses from covering the presidential elections petitions, accrediting only few hand-picked local media organizations. Journalists from foreign media organizations were not actually allowed into the Supreme Court premises. We don't know why, but we can guess, and truthfully, your guess will be as good as mine. They wouldn't like the international community to have a grip on whatever is happening in court. So next, I'm going to be revealing the names of the judges that were supposed to take over the seven-man panel in the Supreme Court. The seven-man panel of the Supreme Court, led by Justice John Inyang Okoro. I told you before that he was actually taken out of the list because of a squabble that took place in the camp. And then when they finally noticed that Justice Dettijo was retiring this week, they replaced him. He was replaced with Justice John Inyang Okoro. Now, he has always been the expected chairman of this panel. Okay. Now, Justice Inyang Okoro was actually the person who led the seven-man panel, and then other justices followed. And I'm going to be unveiling the names of these justices in no time, all right? But the truth remains that whoever was involved in this particular proceeding would know that the whole proceedings were actually driven by injustice, and the way the seven-man panel were pushing all the proceedings. You will be able to tell and foretell that the end of this judgment may not really go down well with Nigerians, thereby confirming what I said earlier on about the compromise judges and the way everything went. I gave you an update on what may be the alleged court judgment finally, but I guess we never saw it coming in this manner. So the judges are quickly, actually I told you that Justice Inyang John Okoro will chair the group, and then we have Justice Lawal M. Garba, and then Justice Uwani Musa Abba Aji, we have Justice I.N. Saulawa, Tijani Abubakar, and Emmanuel Agim. These were the seven-man panel that were supposed to, that actually chaired the Supreme Court appeal today. All right, so next, I will gladly reveal and say that no counsel was allowed, or no subordinate counsel, I will call them that, was allowed into the court room. I don't know why, okay? Only few counsels were allowed into the courtroom. In fact, only 5 counsels, each for Obi and Atiku, and that is the PDP and the Labour Party, were allowed, and the respondents were allowed inside the court. All of these counsels were senior counsels, all right? So the Supreme Court complex was boarded up with very heavy security presence, and this morning, of course, and then within inside and both outside, there were lots of security operatives. There are another layer of security people and a checkpoint actually, and one sort of accreditation committee within the complex before you go in, okay? And then lots of people were denied entry into the courtroom, even lawyers. That means today was supposed to be a very hot day for the proceedings, although. So I'm going to be giving a brief of everything that happened within the hearing of the Atiku's case, the dismissal of APM's case, and then the brief hearing of Labour Party's case. All right, please let us go together. All right, now Chris Uche, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, a counsel to Atiku Abubakar, actually approached the court with appeals that the addresses and appeals are ripe for hearing. He actually said there are some pending interlocutory application and moves a motion filed right from 6th October 2023. He seeks 5 minutes of adumberation of their application as time went on. Now, furthermore, the Atiku's counsel were actually praying for an order of leave to present fresh evidence on appeal based on the deposition on oath from Chicago State University. Another one is that Chris Uche, said the application is predicated on 20 grounds and an affidavit of 20 paragraphs filed on behalf of their own client, Atiku Abubakar. He went on to say, upon the receipt of counter affidavit from Tinubu, the APC and INEC, they also filed a written address dated 18th of October 2023. Furthermore, Chris Uche went on to adopt the application and urged the court to grant their request. Now, all said and done, Chris Uche also said the issue involving Tinubu's certificate is a weighty, grave, and constitutional one, which the Supreme Court should not actually waive. He urged the court to admit the fresh evidence of President Tinubu's academic records from Chicago State University presented by Atiku Abubakar, his client. Chris Uche went further to speak to the Supreme Court and say that the Supreme Court had a duty to take a look at Tinubu's records and reach a decision devoid of technicality. These were the prayers of Chris Uche. The presiding judge, Justice John Inyangokoro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, asked Chris Uche's son whether the Supreme Court should rely on the Electoral Act or the Constitution. Can you imagine? Can you see what a justice is asking a fellow legal practitioner who is of lower rank? Is Justice Inyangokoro supposed to ask this question? Is he not supposed to act according to the Constitution? Now, furthermore, in his response, be shocked, in his response, Chris Uche said the issue about Mr. Tinubu's certificate is actually a constitutional matter, which the court should look into with immediate effect. But retorting from the panel, a member of the panel, Justice Emmanuel Agim, asked Chris Uche to explain the nature of Atiku's fresh documents, which he seeks to tender before the Supreme Court. Justice Agim asked whether the testimony by CSU registrar was conducted in a court or not. But according to what was filed by Chris Uche in the written document, it seems that that deposition by the registrar was done in the office of the counsel of Atiku Abubakar. Now, the truth is, furthermore, Justice Agim went further to say they were dealing with a matter that touched on the national unity of Nigeria, according to Justice Agim. But Justice Inyangokoro sought clarification from Atiku's lawyer, Chris Uche. Justice Inyangokoro asked Mr. Chris Uche on why he wanted the Supreme Court to brush aside constitutional provisions and entertain the fresh evidence. Chris Uche explained further that Section 233 of the Nigerian Constitution gave the Supreme Court the power to entertain questions about whether a person has been properly elected or not. He went further to give response to the issue raised about the CSU proceedings. Now, the truth is, after all said and done, Chris Uche said that the depositions were more effective than letters from the CSU authorities regarding the authenticity of Bola Tinubu's academic records. Justice Okoro said that the criminal matters had to be proved beyond reasonable doubt, but in this case, there are two conflicting letters from the Chicago State University, one authenticating the president's certificate and another discrediting it. Which were they supposed to rely on, according to Justice Okoro? Chris Uche referred the court to a letter earlier issued to one Michael Enahoro Eba, who was the lawyer who testified for Atiku against Mr. Tinubu during the Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal at the Court of Appeal in Abuja. Now, talking about this, the INEC lawyer, this is the particular point that made me so shocked. The counsel to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Abubakar Mahmood, senior advocate of Nigeria, had to retort, object, and ask the Supreme Court to dismiss the application of Atiku Abubakar seeking to tender Mr. Tinubu's academic records. Are INEC really working for Tinubu here, or they are working for themselves? That means INEC is really standing as a defensive counsel in this appeal, in this petition. Is that really right? An electoral umpire trying to back up an elected candidate, or an electoral candidate, or a political candidate? That should be the right word, a political candidate. Furthermore, Wole Olanipekun, the senior advocate of Nigeria, that is the counsel representing APC and Tinubu, appealed to the Supreme Court to quickly dismiss this very unusual application, seeking to tender fresh evidence against his client Bola Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu. He said that the fresh evidence was not in any way admissible. Wole Olanipekun, the same counsel representing the APC and Bola Tinubu, argued that the Chicago State University depositions are dormant until the deponent comes to court and testifies. How will Chicago State University come to a Nigerian court and testify for a case that doesn't concern them directly? Why are these lawyers working on technicalities alone? Can you see where they are going to? Can you see where they are going to? Now, INEC, according to Olanipekun Wole, should have been a party at the deposition proceeding in the US. That was what Wole Olanipekun said. How would INEC be a deposition in Chicago State University case versus Atiku and Tinubu? How? This thing is so funny. You know why? Because it is glaring and crystal clear that these lawyers were actually working on technicalities mainly. Now, the truth is, all said and done, the question of 180 days, that is the statutory period within which an election petition should be filed and determined, is clear. It is actually sacrosanct that it can't be shifted. Therefore, Atiku can't seek to tender fresh evidence at the Supreme Court. But finally, something of note was that the Supreme Court finally admitted the fresh evidence from the Chicago State University, and then the deposition from the court, Northern District Court of Illinois. All right, and that was how the proceedings went through and forth. I didn't make available other parts of the court proceedings because these were the main parts that were very, very important to everything. But furthermore, in another development, the APM actually withdrew its appeal somehow, and the appeal got dismissed, challenging Tinubu's election victory after the Supreme Court chastised the APM's counsel for bringing a frivolous appeal on an issue already decided by the Supreme Court. So finally, it was played out, and the APM retrieved their appeal, and it was dismissed by the Supreme Court. But after that proceeding, the Labour Party began theirs at about 200 hours, and Dr. Levi Uzoku, senior advocate of Nigeria and senior counsel standing in for the Labour Party, and Peter Obi, came up to address the court, and he urged the court to allow his clients to move further with the appeal and grant the appeal. He prayed the court in conclusion and in summary to set aside the judgment of the Presidential Elections Petitions Court in Abuja, which affirmed Tinubu's election. The Supreme Court hereby reserved judgment on Obi and Labour Party's appeal seeking to invalidate Tinubu's election over time. A date for a ruling will be communicated through the judges. That was how everything had ended. But all said and done, I told you earlier that a 7-man panel of the Supreme Court led by Justice John Inyang-Okoro reserved judgment also in the case of Atiku Abubakar and PDP after hearing the arguments of the counsels. Justice Inyang Okoro, the head and chairman of the 7-man panel, said a date will be communicated to lawyers of the PDP when the judgment is ready. All right, I will not say much on this. I will not say much on this because at this point I feel so weak because I have already known. I had the updates already. I told you what the updates are saying. Okay, I had already known that they would dismiss this particular case of Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar on the basis of technicalities, and this is the route they are trying to tow right now. It is so sad. It is so sad that Nigeria is now a country devoid of justice, devoid of devoid of a true stronghold of truth. Okay, so I am so surprised that there is nobody saying anything about this. No authority, no NJC, no NBA saying anything about this. Well, they are all birds of the same feather. Let me go quickly to the next update. Quickly, Governor Yahaya Adoza-Bello has played down the assassination attempt rumors. From his words, and according to him, he said there were no assassination attempt on me whatsoever. Please watch the video where Governor Yahaya Adoza-Bello of Kogi State played down the rumors that he was actually, or an attempt was made on his life en route to Abuja for an official function from Kogi State. Stay tuned.
This afternoon at about 1400 hours, we took off from Lokoja coming to Abuja, and the journey was smooth, along with my convoy, and just about 1600 hours, my convoy, especially the security, had an encounter with another sister agency, and there was a fracas. Immediately we waded in and it was resolved. From there we had a smooth journey down to Abuja. And ever since I came, I've been engaging in all the activities that brought me to Abuja, and it's been very smooth. So thereafter I began to hear in social media about assassination attempts. I want to state categorically very clear, dear Nigerians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that there was no assassination attempt on me, Yahaya Bello, the executive governor of Kogi State, by the military or by anybody. Between Kogi State and FCT, it is a secure route. Thanks be to God Almighty and members of the military, the Nigerian police, the DSS, the Navy, the civil defense, the vigilantes, and the professional hunters, and all the citizens of our dear state. We have been able to secure that route, courtesy these various agencies and bodies that I enumerated. So, nobody would have attempted to assassinate me or anybody in my convoy. It is natural, or let me put it this way, most often or sometimes there will be fracas or misunderstanding between sister agencies that are performing their lawful duty. That sometimes cannot be ruled out. That fracas to even have happened in the first place, I've called on the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, the DSS, and all law enforcement agencies that are around me and on the road to investigate it and ensure that whoever is culpable is punished according to the rules and regulations of the various forces or the various services.
All right, Yahaya Adoza-Bello there, governor of Kogi State. Well, I am so happy somehow that no life was lost, especially so he will actually sit and enjoy the 8 years or the 4 years, let me say, of his principal Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if the Supreme Court finally affirm him, because that is the way, that is the route they are trying to take right now. All right, so I will go over the last and final update. An expose. This is very, very strong, so I would ask you to brace yourselves, please. An expose has been done on a woman who called for the help of Nigerians, asking Engineer Dave Umahi, the former governor of Ebonyi State, and the present Minister of Works to pay her the money he has owed her for up to 9 years, a debt of 9 years. To me, no one is above mistake, but this from Dave Umahi is a national disgrace. Watch the video where the woman publicly called out a serving minister of the Federal Republic. This is shameful.
I'm pleading with Engineer David Umahi, the past governor of Ebonyi State, who is currently the Minister for Works, to please pay me my money. This man has been owing me for the past 9 years. He contracted me to produce some election promotional items, souvenirs and gifts for him. And this is the 9th year he has refused to pay me. He has blocked all channels and all avenue of communication between us. My life has been threatened. I have done everything humanly possible to make him see reasons and pay me my money. Please, I'm begging Nigerians to join voice with me, because the money involved is not a small money. And as a business owner, if I had turned over that money for the last 9 years, I know what would have become of that money. Please, sir, Engineer David Umahi, I don't have any intimate relationship with you except this job that I produced for you. And I'm begging you, sir, in the name of God, show me mercy and pay me my money. I have my dead father in the mortuary. Please, sir, pay me my money. Pay me my money, sir. I am pleading in God's name. Whatever name you adore and whatever thing you hold holy, pay me my money. Fear God, sir, and pay me my money. I don't have the power and the strength to fight any politician in this country. We all know what obtains. It is their word against the citizens that elected them into government. Please, Engineer David Umahi, this is Tresnita, the girl whom you invited to your states many times. The job I produced for you 9 years ago is yet to be.
Alright, all said and done. You've heard the woman there. I have a part 2 of that video, which I will be bringing to you in my next update. But please, Dave Umahi, wherever you are, pay this woman, because she has endured a lot. In fact, she's alleging that because of the money you owe her, her business has crumbled over 9 years. This is a disgrace. This money is child's play, is a mega amount, is a chicken change compared to what you receive. Is a chicken change too compared to what you take. You know, it's also a chicken change compared to what you took away from the Ebonyi State government, which I'm going to be bringing very soon. So please, Dave Umahi, quickly avail this woman her money, so she will be happy and not drag you out from your political confinement. Alright, thank you so much for staying with us. I hope you enjoyed these updates. Before I say quits, please like our videos, share them. Don't forget to drop a comment for us in the comment section. If you're watching for the first time, please tap the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you get to link up when I drop a new update. This first update I brought to you was an overview, the real story from the Supreme Court. So if you have heard from other platforms, this is the real story. Thank you so much. Bye.